Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about Gladiator 2. And while I'm talking about Gladiator 2, I'm also going to bring up Gladiator 1 because obviously this is a sequel to that movie. So I'm going to do a very brief review of Gladiator while I'm also talking about Gladiator 2. But if you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and hit pause and watch Gladiator 2 and then come back and watch this review. But speaking of Gladiator, I had recently rewatched Gladiator before I saw Gladiator 2, so I was reminded about what happened in that movie since it happened like 24, almost 24 years ago. But basically, from Gladiator, I like Gladiator. I found it to be a tragedy. It was more like a Job story with some revenge in it. It was a story about this General Maximus who talks about strength and honor, but he doesn't talk about it. I mean, he actually walks the walk. I remember that opening scene with the battle, how the troops looked at him, just basically throughout the movie too. Also, when he, actually is forced into slavery to become a gladiator, and how he's rising up and gaining everybody's respect. I mean, I just felt that throughout the whole movie. And it was a tragedy because this guy has a sense of honor, and he promised Marcus Aurelius that he would, basically restore power back to the people, essentially making Rome go back to a republic rather than the empire that it was. And of course, Joaquin Phoenix's character Commodus, didn't want that. He wanted power. He felt he was entitled to be in that position. And I thought it was an interesting juxtaposition between the honor of Maximus and the dishonor, the lack of respect, the person who didn't have the qualities of leadership in Commodus. And so I thought that part of the story was interesting in these characters. And Russell Crowe's performance was great. So was Joaquin Phoenix. So overall, I thought Gladiator was a great movie. I thought Gladiator, the first one, was a much stronger story than this sequel, Gladiator 2. But overall, I like Gladiator 2. So let me just start going over the likes that I have with Gladiator 2. First of all, I thought the battle scenes were great. In fact, I thought the battle scenes were a lot better in Gladiator 2 than they were in Gladiator 1. In particular, I like the opening battle scene where the ships from the Romans are basically invading this kingdom called, I think it's called Numidia in Africa. That scene, honestly, it reminded me of Saving Private Ryan. All right, it reminded me of like they were storming the beaches of Normandy. I thought it was really intense. There was a lot of chaos going on with the fireballs and the arrows shooting all over the place. Like I thought it was a really good shot scene, and as well as like throughout the movie, the gladiator fights. I thought they were really good. Um, I just don't know. Some of it didn't seem really accurate, but this is not like a movie where I'm watching for historical accuracy. For instance, like I believe the Romans. I'm not a historian with Roman history, so I mean, don't quote me on this at all. But I believe I heard that the Romans did flood the Colosseums with water, but I don't think they had sharks. I don't know if there's a way that the Romans had the technology to get great white sharks out of the ocean, um, put them in, have the knowledge and to know what kind of wire they need to be in their habitat to keep them alive, and then transport them all the way to the Colosseum and fill it up so fast. I don't know if they had that technology, but it was entertaining. I mean, it's like this is not a movie that you're going to be watching for historical accuracy and or documenting on the history of Rome, right? So it was entertaining though. I thought, in my opinion, I thought the cinematography was great. Seeing the images of not just the Colosseum and all the people inside, and but also in Rome in general. Seeing the troops finally march on Rome. So we were teased that in the first Gladiator movie, Maximus had basically called for the truce, but then he gets caught, and so we didn't get that scene. But we finally get that scene in Gladiator 2, where like 5,000 troops are coming in on Rome because Lucius calls him. He gives the ring to the guy who was treating his wounds. So I thought that image of the troops was cool. I kind of wish that they would have a battle there. But I mean, we already got a lot of battles in the movie anyway, and so overall, I thought that scene was cool. There are a lot of crowd pleasing moments in this movie. In particular, I'm thinking of this scene where Lucius finally grabs Maximus' armor. Everybody clapped with that scene. So I thought that scene was cool. It showed that he was embracing his identity as, the grandson of Marcus Aurelius, the son of Maximus. So I thought that was a really good scene. I thought the story was, I mean, it was just okay. It just felt like a carbon copy of the first Gladiator movie, right? So, like in the first Gladiator movie, Maximus's wife and son are killed after he basically doesn't pledge his allegiance to Commodus. What happens in this movie? His wife is killed, right? So, I mean, there's obviously a difference between the two. In Gladiator 2, the wife is actually a soldier with him. So when I saw her putting on the armor, I'm like, oh, okay, she's a soldier. And I thought, like, okay, I knew this is like a death wish, right? I knew, like, she was marked for death, like, she was going to die in the movie. But I was kind of hoping that she would have at least like a glorious death, like in battle. It wasn't. I mean, basically, what happens was she ends up shooting one of the Roman troops in front of General. I think it's Acacius, and then he sees that he orders his troops to fire on her and hit her with the arrow. So, I mean, does she get a shot in? Yeah, but was it like a glorious death? I don't know. I mean, I would have hoped she would have taken out a lot more Romans and then gotten killed. But so yeah, so it was a similar like that. I thought the um, the Maximus character. So I remember like when they were talking about Gladiator 2 that one of the rumors was that it was going to be a story where the gods bring back Maximus and stuff. And so I'm glad they didn't go that route because that would have been really stupid. But they kind of, in a sense, bring back Maximus in several ways. Number one, this is all about Maximus and Marcus Aurelius's legacy, right? Marcus Aurelius wanted Rome to basically be restored back to a republic. And you hear the echoes of Maximus, his quotes and everything throughout the movie. But also, like, I think pieces of his character are embodied in different characters in the movie. Obviously, his son, Lucius, right? Because this is the like part of his character that was taken into slavery and had to become a gladiator. That's that part. But then also the general, you see that in Acacius, right? And then Acacius wanted to basically fulfill the legacy of Marcus Aurelius by restoring Rome back to a republic. So you see it bits and pieces of um, Maximus and his son, obviously, and then but also in even Connie Nielsen's character even calls it out, like Marcus. I mean, basically the person that she married. Again, she she married Acacius, and she basically had like this relationship with. I guess it was a secret relationship with Maximus, right? So she seems to be getting around with these honorable you know Maximus type characters. So there was like a lot of like Gladiator 1 and Gladiator 2. Um, the Denzel character, he was he starts off mostly as like the Oliver Reed character who's like basically getting these gladiators from as prisoners of war, putting them out there in the ring, and he's making side deals with people, making money and stuff. But also he's part Commodus as well because Commodus is basically the antagonist of the Maximus character, where is Denzel's, I think his name was Macresis or something like that. I'm just going to call him Denzel because I can't even remember his name. I know it starts with an M, but I'm just going to call him Denzel. Denzel's character eventually becomes the antagonist of this movie, which is a little bit surprising because from the trailers, I thought Denzel's role wasn't going to be that big, as big as it turned out to be in this movie, but it was a lot um, more bigger than what I thought it was going to be. Even he's even gets like second billing in the credits, so yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that. I thought Paul was okay in the role. He just didn't quite command the same respect that I felt when I watched the Maximus character. Clearly, the people in the movie were like the characters in the movie were respecting him as the leader, taking him in the battle and all that stuff. But I just felt it more with Russell Crowe than I did with Paul in this movie. I was happy to see Peter Mensa because I watched this show called Spartacus where Peter Mensa plays a former gladiator called Doctore, and here he is in this movie playing the lead. He was the leader of the Numidian people. That he's the guy that got injured, and then Lucius was treating his wounds, and then he just kind of like, you know, he's resigned to his fate. He basically gives a line where he says that he knows where he's going in the afterlife, and he lets those that monkey basically kill him. So yeah, I was happy to see him because he was in Spartacus. But yeah, I mean, the overall the story was pretty much the same. A you have a guy who his family is killed. He gets sent out to slavery, becomes a gladiator. He wants revenge for the person responsible for killing his family, and then there's this plot where the general wants to overtake the empire, but then he gets caught and then he gets sent back into slavery. So it's basically like the same thing as the original movie. um, and then the twins, I didn't think there was much depth to them. I mean, some of it was like okay. Like I didn't like hate the twins or anything like that. I thought there was like more depth in Joaquin Phoenix's character than these twins. I mean, they were just basically like this bloodthirsty, and they were like really feckless, not really good leaders. They're always like turning to other people to seek guidance, like Denzel's character, and I think the guy who was in charge of the troops and stuff. But like I didn't see much depth to them at all. I noticed like a lot of symbolism in this movie, like with the arrows. I mean, to me, the arrows just symbolize this cycle of all the violence and killing that happens to the main character. We see the arrow, in the first movie with Russell Crowe. Joaquin Phoenix, Commodus, breaks the arrow, punctures him with it, and that's the fatal blow that ultimately, kills him because he bleeds to death. But then, obviously, in the beginning of the movie, we see an arrow that kills Lucius's wife. We see later on where Acacius, when he's fighting Lucius, he's basically telling, "Hey, I know who you are," and and then basically that Lucius sees like this cycle of violence that's just happening with Romans killing his people. He's killing Roman people, and he also sees he's Acacius is admirer of his father and grandfather, and so he doesn't fulfill the execution order imposed by the twin emperor, and so Acacius gets executed by arrows, right? And obviously his mother gets shot by the exact same place where his wife gets shot. The mother gets killed by Denzel's character. So you see that symbolism of the arrow like throughout the movie. There's a point where he was like in the I don't know what those rooms are where they had. I think they were called catacombs. I don't know that. I could be using the wrong terminology there. But the room where they had the armor and stuff, where the guy who was treating him in his room showed him where the armor was. He was like holding the arrow at one point when he was in that room. By the way, that guy who played his wounds, I thought that easily could have been Digimon Hantu's character. Remember in the first Gladiator, Digimon Hantu was one of the gladiators that fought with Maximus. He ends up surviving at the end of the movie. He's one of the people that carries his body out of the stadium. I thought, that easily could have made him that character, but I mean, I kind of see why they did. There's already so many ties to the first Gladiator movie anyway. But anyway, that thought just like came to mind when I saw his character. I was going, that's kind of like what it could have been his character. But anyway, getting to the dislikes. So I thought the movie was pretty predictable. Um, like I said with the wife, I knew as soon as I see the wife there, I'm like, oh yeah, she's marked for death. She's gonna die. The trailer kind of spoiled the twist with me with the general, because it showed that conversation that Connie Nielsen's character had with Acacius, when she says, "Hey, save my son." It's like, okay, I know where this is going. I could tell that he wasn't going to try to kill him when they fight in the arena. I didn't think Lucius would kill Acacius. Um, I thought that they would eventually end up like fighting side by side, kind of like that moment in the Last Jedi when Kylo Ren and Rey are fighting those red guard things, and after Kylo Ren kills the Snoke. I thought it was like going to be one of those type of moments, but no. Instead, they actually killed him. So I mean, that part where they executed him was a little bit surprising me, because I thought it was just going to be one of those cliche moments where the two people who are uh, opposed to each other ends up working together in the end. But unfortunately, that didn't happen for Acacius. I knew there was going to be, like I said, I knew there was going to be more to the Denzel character than what we were getting initially. Because again, from the trailer, he talked about, oh, I want power, and they show a scene where he was on the horse drawing a sword, like he was going to fight somebody. I just thought the trailer, like the way that they cut it, I thought it was kind of like a misdirect, like it was going to be, like they wanted us to think that Denzel was going to fight the gladiator, but he was actually taking up arms against the Roman Empire. But no, no, he was fighting, Lucius. But I thought he was going to be, the one that helps bring down the empire rather than the one who actually wants to create unrest so that he basically can seize power. Um, so, but I mean, that part's like okay, but it's just like, I just felt that, that particular twist was, predictable. The main problem I had with the movie was like there wasn't that emotion. I didn't feel any emotion when the wife died. Um, it just didn't have that John Wick moment. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, so in John Wick, the way that they really get you emotionally behind John Wick and when he goes around and kills all these assassins is that in the beginning of the movie, they established that he had this relationship with his wife, and his wife gave her this cute puppy, and he liked this dog because it was a symbol of what his wife gave him before she died. And then these thugs break into his house and basically kill the puppy. And so now you feel, oh wow, these people gotta die. These people gotta, they deserve whatever is coming for them, right? I just don't get that feeling in this movie. Um, so I didn't feel that for the wife, not even for the Connie Nielsen character at the end. I just I did feel like some excitement, or watching the gladiator fights, and like that one moment when he grabs the armor of Maximus. Okay, I felt that, but other than that, like the other moments where I was supposed to feel emotional, um, getting behind the character, like because I'm rooting for him to get revenge. Now I wasn't really feeling it, and I don't know if that was intentional or not. Because I mean, it would have been more gutsy. Because I like to feel torn and conflicted when I'm watching a movie, and so when I'm watching like the battle between Lucius and Acacius, I mean, I'm not feeling like, oh yeah, I want him to kill him, because like I already know that, like yeah, like Acacius, yeah, he killed his wife, but he was ordered to do that by these twin knuckleheads, and he's basically like a soldier, like out doing this mission, and like I just didn't feel like this is a guy that deserves to die here, and I kind of wanted them to kind of work together to take down the Roman Empire rather than feeling like, oh yeah, this guy needs to die. So I mean, that's what I mean when I said I didn't feel that much emotion throughout the movie. Um, Overall, I thought it was good. I thought it was, like I said, the cinematography was great. The action was good. Was it, Shakespeare? No. Was it an Oscar-worthy movie? No. I, it may get an Oscar now for like cinematography or costume designs. Was Denzel's performance Oscar worthy? I mean, honestly, I don't think so. I think he's done a lot better in terms of acting earlier in his career. But to me, I didn't come across feeling like, oh yeah, this Denzel deserves. Like, don't get me wrong, if he gets nominated, I'm not going to complain at all because he's Denzel. But I mean, did I honestly feel that way? No. So I don't think any acting noms or Best Picture noms are going to come out of this or direction. Um, but maybe like costume designs, production design, cinematography. I think those would be worthy nods in terms of the Academy. But overall, I thought it was a good movie, and so yeah, I definitely recommend that you check out Gladiator 2. And if you did see the movie, let me know what your thoughts were.